What's going on, strangers? It's your boy Xavier again. So today I just wanted to talk about Magneto, the madman himself, master of magnetism, all that shit. But yeah, I want to talk about Magneto and MCOC because as of right now, this man, he's awesome. He's an awesome character. He's dope. He's powerful. All that jazz. But in the game, he sucks. So I just wanted to talk about Magneto today, and I brought him up because I think not only Magneto, but a lot of champions in this game suffer because they were made 4 years ago. And if they were made today, like I said, they would be top tier or actually usable. Because as of right now, Magneto's bleed and armor break, they're not good, man. They last for like 10 seconds apiece, and that's it. So, as most of you probably know, Magneto is freaking powerful, man. Like, he moves Sentinels, he shreds Wolverine, he wrecks the X-Men by himself, just on his own, just using his powers on his own. Magneto is extremely powerful, he's iconic. If anyone were to ask anyone about some dude with a metal helmet with magnetism, they could probably call his name and say Magneto. It's obvious, but Magneto has some abilities that a lot of people don't know about. So he can use magnetism to deflect rays, control and polarize items, make shields for himself. He's extremely versatile and defensive. He's not just bleed and throw metal stuff at you. He's actually defeated Thor. He's done a lot of cool things in the comics, but obviously when they made this character in the game, he couldn't be that powerful. So it's understandable, but I think he needs a rework. So to get started, Magneto's current base abilities are simple. He has bleed. It's a 55% chance on all of his specials, which is meh at best. He has heal block, and it's like 10 or 12 seconds, depending on which one you use. Armor break, same thing. It's a decent armor break. Medusa gets that with like 4 hits, and that's it. But one cool thing that they did add about Magneto, actually that wasn't even in his initial release. Initially, he couldn't do the ability accuracy reduction by 40. That was after a small update, like a year or two after. So he can also do that. He can make like Vision's power drain, like not happen, not work. Make Metal Reliant champions parries not work. So it's pretty cool, but it's not very effective in the game today. So that needs to be reworked. And his current signature ability is cool in thought. It kind of brings that whole like barrier power ability around him into play, but it's not very effective given the fact that there's like shocks in the game, there's bleeds in the game. If anyone uses like a SP3, like if you fight I don't want to say Domino, but if you fight any champion that has an SP3 and it has like a bleed attached or a shock, he's dead. He is dead because it just protects him from the physical damage, not debuffs carried over. So it's cool in thought, but he needs some more, man. He's plain and simple, and Magneto is not plain and simple. He is the leader of the Brotherhood. He is a dope man. So we're going to get into some of his reworked abilities that I want to introduce. So Magneto needs more damage, dude, because one bleed. He used to bleed twice, but they took that away from him because that was too OP. He needs more damage. He needs to be able to actually survive in the game, more utility, and definitely be a lot more of a badass against metal champions and just a badass in general. Because as of right now, I wouldn't even think of taking Magneto into variant. There's so many other options, dude. Or I would just wait until I got a better champion, because I would waste so many units trying to use Magneto against an Ultron. That would not be fun, especially with shocks, dude. Like you have a 40% chance for them maybe not to apply, and if they do, you're dead. So some things to consider when we're reworking him is make sure when you're fighting him as an AI, you don't want it to be too difficult. You don't want it, because he's already he's not too bad of a defender, but that SP2 can catch you off guard. But we don't want to make him like a Korg or anything. Want to keep it simple, like they did with Gamora. Like all you have to do is just swipe and tap, and she's a dope or a lot better champion now. And we also want to keep it balanced. So another thing about keeping it simple, you don't want to make a Taskmaster where you have to fight for 30 seconds to get all your debuffs, and then like not much has changed. And then Proxima, she's a good champ, but like you have to admit it's a pretty high skill cap if you want to get all those charges for missions and then get an SP3, and then you're good when you're rocking those 200k SP3s. It's freaking awesome. But I don't want Magneto, or I don't think most people would like Magneto to be a very difficult champ to use. Should just be swipe and tap, and he's just dope. So getting into his new abilities, these are some things that I've considered or I thought of that I think would be cool. So I gave him a new basic skill. So he would retain all of his base abilities that he already has. So he would keep his bleed on his specials and all that stuff. But he'll also have this added ability, Magnetic Influence. So basically on each successful hit, Magneto would place a passive magnetic charge debuff on the opponent up to a maximum of 50. So that's a pretty high number, but it could be changed if they want to use this or whatever. I just think it's a nice round number. And then landing a heavy attack places 5 of these charges on the opponent. So each successful hit, 5-hit combo, 5 charges. Heavy hit, 5 charges. For each charge on the opponent, Magneto's special attacks deal an additional 4% damage dealt, and enemy projectiles have a 2% chance to miss. So what this means is, at maximum of 50 charges, he deals an additional 200% damage for his special attacks. And then at maximum charges, all projectiles have a 100% chance to miss. So Magneto could stand there while War Machine shoots his pew-pews and just miss Magneto because he has a shield. So I think that's cool. I think that'd be awesome to play around with. He can get around a few annoying nodes and fights like Punisher 2099, etc. I think that would be cool. So where some balance comes in is after Magneto uses a special attack or is hit with a special attack or heavy attack, all magnetic charges are lost. So what this does is if you're fighting him, he doesn't become too much of a defensive hassle. Hit him with special attack, all the magnetic charges are gone. You can hit with your projectiles, and he won't do insane damage against you. Or just land a heavy attack and you're fine. Then also, when Magneto applies magnetic charges, Metal Reliant champions receive twice as much. So this would make him incredible against tech champions. So what this means is, when he lands a 5-hit combo, for each hit, he's placing 2 instead of 1 magnetic charge. So they're getting 10 charges in a 5-hit combo. And then when he lands a heavy, they're getting 10 charges instead of 5. This makes his ramp up a lot quicker against metal champions, and it would make him insane. If he can do increased damage, and he can negate their attacks. And then for the last part, I'm not sure if this is in the game, but it doesn't feel like it sometimes. So all of Magneto's basic attacks deal energy damage and do not make contact. Because for the visual in the game, he's using like a sort of like a beam attack at the end of his hand. He's not like punching really, maybe once or twice. But all of his basic attacks wouldn't make contact. This would make him good against enemies like Korg, Electro, enemies that deal pretty much thorns damage anytime you punch him in the face. So this would just give Magneto more utility, more damage overall, and it would make him, to me, more thematically cool and correct as far as the game goes. So I think, all in all, Magneto just needs a few tweaks and he would be fine. But that is pretty much the gist of all my revamp ideas. But next comes his signature ability. Now for his signature ability, I wanted to add on to what he can already do with this new skill, which is increase the ramp up and then make him just right out of the gate a badass. So we would call it Mutant Mastermind. So Magneto can not lose more than 10% health from a single source. So this adds on to what he already had. So this would kind of change his current signature ability. Instead of it being up to 14%, it might be higher or lower as a 5-star, but I only have him as a 4-star. So he could only lose up to 10% of his health from a single SP3 or a single source, which would make him a lot more survivable. The next, which is crucial, Magneto passively places one magnetic charge debuff on the opponent every up to 1 second based on 200 sig max 5-star. So every second you're placing a magnetic charge on the opponent. And if they're Metal Reliant, it would be 2 every second. So as you can see, this ramps up pretty quickly. And then also, for each charge on the opponent, he gains an increased block proficiency by 0.5% for each charge. So at max, he would get a 25% block proficiency increase. So Magneto would be standing there taking block hits, but not really taking damage. And then when you're shooting projectiles at him, he's standing there letting them pass through. I just think this makes Magneto look badass and just makes him look really cool. And then for the last added effect, Magneto never has less than 20 charges. So what this means right out of the gate, Magneto has a 40% chance for all projectiles to just miss. And it also means that he will always do an increased amount of damage, especially against Metal Reliant champions. So he's dealing damage, he's surviving, he can block more, and he's just more versatile in general. Now there are still some glaring weaknesses if you're using Magneto with this suggested revamp. Is if you get caught with any type of damaging debuff, that's a wrap, dude. Like if you're going into variant, that Magneto or that Ultron's still going to kick your ass, but you can use them in other areas. So that Ultron, those shocks are still gonna hurt you a little bit. Those bleeds are still gonna hurt. Those shocks are gonna hurt. Those debuffs are gonna hurt. So just keep that in mind. All those things are important, but I think this would make Magneto a really cool champ overall, and I think it would just make him decent. As like instead of being an overlooked champ, he would be actually an option for some things. So as a summary, Magneto can just negate projectile attacks, which I think would just look visually cool, and it gives him a lot more utility. He could deal a lot more damage, especially to Metal Reliant champions. He, combined with the reduced ability accuracy and the increased damage, he would just wreck Iron Man. He would wreck Ultrons. He'd wreck Nighthawk, Darkhawk, not Nighthawk, Night Trasher. Darkhawk, he would get wrecked. Increased survivability, can tank those special attacks, extra utility. I just think it would be cool overall. So Magneto, I think we all can agree that he needs a rework, man. Him, Colossus, a lot of the mutant class, a lot of the tech class, they're just butt cheeks, man. And I'm sure Kabam has ideas, but they haven't released them yet, so I'm giving my thoughts while I have the chance before they come out with them. So those are my thoughts. You guys let me know what you think. How you think Magneto should be improved. What do you think of Magneto like outside of the game? Because I know pretty much if you're a fan of this game, you probably know who Magneto is. Just tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you think of my thoughts. If you could make any recommendations or any changes for it, and just tell me what you think. That's all I had. I know I'm muttering a lot because it's my first video, but hopefully you guys liked it. Thank you for watching.